Hello and welcome to this edition of ABQ Business Review. I'm your host, Tony DellaFlora. Living in Albuquerque, we're often faced with the question, is the glass half full or half empty? For every magazine article citing the city as a great place to live and work, there's a new study issued showing why it's not. But I suspect my next guests, in the spirit of true entrepreneurs, would see the glass as undervalued by half its potential. With me today to give us an update on what they and others hope is Albuquerque's next big success story, Innovate Albuquerque, are the city's Economic Development Director, Gary Oppedahl, and the head of the Center for Homeless Entrepreneurs, also known as the Epicenter, Todd Bisio. Welcome.
Good to be with you, Tony.
Glad to have you here today. Gary, for the folks who still may never have heard about Innovate Albuquerque or don't know what it is, give us the elevator speech.
Sure. And again, the glass is full and overflowing. It's we have all the assets we need in New Mexico. It's about awareness, coordination, distribution, and flow. We often run around in our own little worlds forgetting that we should connect to others and find out all the great things that are going on here. What we're doing in downtown is we're creating what's called an innovation district.
Right.
It's called Innovation Central. You can go to ABQIC for innovationcentral.com, abqic.com for calendars of events and much more about this. But in Bruce Katz's book, Metropolitan Revolution, Chapter 6, The Rise of the Innovation District, he talks about the science of this. You take a 1.2 radius circle, 1.2 mile radius circle.
Okay.
You put all your entrepreneurs and innovators and those that love them all in this circle, and companies appear.
Okay.
We've already seen that success with Lavu moving downtown and C&M moving their coder school downtown, the local community college. They see each other. They would have never seen each other otherwise. They have a Saturday night hackathon, and there's a new company born doing restaurant inventory control using Lavu's system. This is exactly what's supposed to happen. At the very center of this innovation district is Innovate Albuquerque. Innovate Albuquerque is the 7.2 acre old First Baptist site that the city, county, private businesses, mainly Newsenda, and the university have all purchased together in a spirit of collaboration to make an entrepreneurial hub, a place where entrepreneurs can get everything that they need. It will be some physical space, but what we're also trying to create, and the Epicenter is a great example of that, is we're trying to create a place where we can democratize entrepreneurism, where we can find any idea, any person with an idea, whether it is a researcher from the labs or whether it's a street sweeper with a better idea for a broom or a construction worker with a better idea for a nail guard. And what we're going to do is we're going to surround them with the hipster, the hacker, and the huckster that it takes to start any company. Mixing all those entrepreneurs together with the ideas, knowing that companies will come out of that. And so that's what the Epicenter's main job is, and it's the first building that's already open. I hope the viewers know that we've already got activity on the Innovate Albuquerque site. What we've done is we've done some affordable cool upgrades and a few coats of paint on the old Noonday Center, and that's up and running with activities almost daily.
And I'm glad you left the basketball hoops in, because if I was working there, I'd have to take a break and shoot some three-pointers. I want to get to the Epicenter specifically, but the biggest news since we last spoke was you've got developers chosen for the site now, right?
It's a big deal. We were hoping that there would be interest in this site. Much like Innovation Square in Gainesville, where Dr. Frank, the University of New Mexico, took the mayor and the other folks originally to go look at, like Sky Song in Phoenix, like Cambridge Square in Boston. We want to, that center point is that Innovation Square, and we needed a developer to develop it. It's about a $150 million potential project, and we were looking for a developer who could come in and do that with the city and the university. And we had several bids actually, and we've down selected to one. We're in a 90-day process with that developer who's looking at the site, figuring out how they're going to phase things in, what they're going to do for a final proposal in 3 months from July 27th, so sometime in October. And we're very encouraged. It's a great, Signet is the name of the developer, and they were the ones who developed Gainesville, Florida State's Innovation Square. And they've selected, I think quite wisely, to work with two local developers along with it, Decker Parish Sabatini, which is just has huge knowledge in this area for construction and public works, and also Gary Goodman, his group, who's also renovating Winrock Center and doing those great things up there. So it's a great team, and they're in that 90-day process now to come up with a final proposal.
Okay. And yeah, Goodman is there you have property in that area already, right?
They do. Gary Goodman has the Hotel Andaluz, which he's done a fantastic job with the redo of the restaurant Moss, with his balcony bar and activities upstairs, and it's just a wonderful place downtown. And so he's very interested in downtown, and he's very interested in our innovation district.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Todd, I was joking in the introduction about the new venture you're overseeing, the Epicenter, but it actually was the former home of Noonday Ministries, which served the homeless population here. Now it's part of Innovate Albuquerque. And I guess from my reading, one of the goals is to provide kind of a home base for folks who may be interested in this entrepreneurial idea but don't feel part of it, sort of disenfranchised or whatever, left out of the ecosystem, as it were. Tell us about how things are supposed to work over there and who you're looking for to bring into this place.
Yeah, definitely. The mayor has coined it the Entrepreneurial Community Center. Okay. And I think that's great. That's the type of environment that we're trying to create, where it does feel like home, like everybody's welcome. We want all kinds of entrepreneurs, from high tech to street sweepers, to be in that place and to gain access to our advisory network, which will be on site, to the events and training that we have from elementary school all the way through to experienced business leaders getting additional information. So all of these sorts of opportunities are going to be there for the good of the community, so that we can actually create natural collisions and communication and cohesiveness to actually build the types of teams that Gary was talking about.
Okay. I guess my next question is, how did you get roped into this? It's a big deal.
Well, the big piece is I believe in Albuquerque and in New Mexico, and I want to be a part of it. The company that I was one of the contributing founders of 14 years ago is basically has the same type of a culture, where we're trying to build teams that help advance intellectual property into manufacturable products, to allow people to see their dreams become reality. Yeah. And now this is a larger scale that I can do the same thing. So I'm just really excited about it, excited about what we're seeing. We're really seeing a collaborative culture come together, and I feel like this is the time to be a part of it and to help make it happen.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, commercialization of these technologies and stuff is one of the main things you guys are focusing on, and workforce development, as you said, with from kids to probably retarees, I imagine. There's people coming in who want to start over and get a fresh start. I know after one of the things you do for smaller folks are these Microsoft camps. You've already held a couple, I think, or whatever. Tell folks about what that is.
Yeah, a couple days, just a few days after the ribbon cutting, which was at the end of April, we had the first Microsoft DigiCamp. And so we had 7th graders who came from 2 schools that are becoming STEM schools, Hayes Middle School and Garfield, and 50 girls one day, 50 boys the next day, learning about computer programming, learning about life skills, and how to conduct themselves in order to identify ways to advance. So it's a lot of fun. Now we're working on a steering committee to replicate that, to make it more Albuquerque focused, and to really look at what we can do with that to reach more students all over our city and really make a difference.
I've been to those, and the kids seem totally engaged in those things. It's like you're appealing to some part of their brain that maybe wasn't being appealed to before, but they seem very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, a lot of laughter. You know, those types of days are fun. They're fun for us as mentors and contributors, because we get to see them enjoying what they're doing, and then going back in the classroom and seeing how they can apply the knowledge that they're gaining toward opportunities in the marketplace.
Yeah. Now, in addition to all the high-tech stuff you have going on over at the Epicenter, you're going to have a culinary arts program over there? Tell me about that.
Yes. So we're working in collaboration with C&M to extend their culinary arts programs to enable a space downtown to where they can have some programming, some training, and also to serve our emerging food truck industry
Right.
in a meaningful way, and that's really going to be exciting. So they have to have a place where they can do a lot of their prep work offsite. This will enable that, and then they can go straight down into whether it's City Hall or somewhere around the district, and actually meet the demand that's
Right.
growing as a result of everywhere from the Brewers Guild development to the other activities and festivals that we have. There's a lot of demand right now for that industry, and this will help promote that.
Great, great. Yeah, we can't have too much good food around here.
Well, and it's all part of a major strategy. The strategy, the umbrella strategy here, Tony, is that we are training entrepreneurs. As someone from Boulder, Colorado, one of the venture capitalists who came down for the Rocky Mountain Venture Capital Association annual meeting last year, made the comment, he says, I'm from Boulder. And in Boulder, you know, we have way more entrepreneurs than we have ideas. He says, here, it's clear, you have way more ideas than you have entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurism isn't dinner time conversation. It's not, you know, friends out with a beer conversation here, like it is in some places like Boulder and Austin and the Bay Area.
Right.
So what we need to do is help train those entrepreneurs so that they understand how to take their ideas into realities, as Todd was talking about.
Right.
And there's specific curricula for that. And so this is all part of that, is to have a culinary makerspace, catch kids in 7th grade, because that's where we lose them, you know, and get them excited about things like this, and that they can make a difference and be an exponential entrepreneur and really do some great things for the world. Not only make the next app, but also solving some of our social issues using entrepreneurism and innovation. So it's all part of the overall, how do we educate our entrepreneurs in our city.
Right. Speaking of that, one of the things you'd mentioned to me before was you guys are going to be involved with something called Village Capital Accelerator. Tell me about that. I've heard a little bit about it. It sounds like a great project.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So Village Capital is a VC venture capital firm that started a few years back, focused on creating a triple bottom line type of opportunity for those they come in contact with. So not only do they care about return on investment, but they care about job creation and the impact on the community in which they're going into. So they've had various locations and run their accelerator. In Albuquerque, they focused on water and energy nexus. We actually had the first 4 days of the program that started about 2 weeks ago here in Albuquerque, where of the 12 teams or companies that were brought in, nine were from out of state, and then 2 were actually from Albuquerque, one from elsewhere in the state. And we really got to both see the really exciting technology that they're working on, the impact they can make in the world, and engage our entrepreneurial stack and the mentors who are a part of that in that process. They'll be back in November. In between, there's always a sister city, and the sister city in this case is Fort Collins. So they'll be in Fort Collins in the end of September, and then back in November here in Albuquerque.
But the idea is that Albuquerque will be ground zero eventually for these water technologies. And
absolutely, and Village Capital is just one example of our 4 accelerators. And I want to make this point toward teaching our folks how to be entrepreneurs. Accelerators, the definition of an accelerator is it's a program, a mentored program that uses a curricula that is a proven success for startups to teach people how to do startups successfully. A year and a half ago, we had 0 accelerators in our state. We now have 4. So we've got ABQ ID, which is our Techstars type accelerator for high growth companies, C&M Ignite through their Stimulus Center, which is for non-high growth companies like, you know, the 2 ladies that are pickling everything except pickles, and the lady who's making bicycle bags out of old tires. I mean, really cool little companies and ideas that through a community college. Then we have creative startups, and creative startups is unique in the country. They are helping out our artists and media folks and people who create things who don't necessarily always have a business mind about things. And right, and so and that's just getting worldwide attention actually as a model that's really working well. They're in their second cohort now, and we'll be bringing all of those folks to Albuquerque in October. And then there's Village Capital. All 4 of these are going to create companies that have a much higher probability of success because they're following proven principles on how to start up things. That's how you get your flywheel turning on company creation.
Right.
And we know that 2/3 of our job creation in our country is going to come from small companies. And so we're doing everything we can to make sure that that flywheel is turning in Albuquerque as quickly as possible.
Right. Speaking of some of these partners, I mean, that's from our very first conversations. You've been out, part of your job is out enlisting folks to come in, foundations to help out and this and that. What's the latest tally? Who all have you guys brought in to be part of this so far?
Well,
just off the top of your head.
If you can get your hands on this brochure, I highly recommend it. But these are all the things that are happening now in our ecosystem. Wow. And I have to tell you, there's only 2 city symbols in there. One's for our bus rapid transit system, and one's for an entertainment district. Those are infrastructure things. Everything else on here is our private, the private industry, the private sector coming in and owning these things. We're a catalyst, but not a controller. That's what we think is the right approach to government. So we can catalyze the start of these things, but this is the private sector taking them and moving them forward. Because then we're not a bottleneck. There's only a few of us, right, that are trying to do this, right? The community will believe in itself, its own job creation and economic mobility, and it will last beyond this administration. When we leave, the last thing this community needs is to be whipsawed back and forth. These things will continue because it's not the mayor doing it, it's not us doing it, it is the community doing it. And that's what I'm most satisfied with about the progress so far. We've enlisted, I mean, just other examples, the Albuquerque Community Foundation. For the first time, they had 4 pillars in their decades of existence. They've just added an entrepreneurial pillar.
Wow.
When you see your foundations in a city taking a proactive approach to the social ills of the city, I think that that's just tremendous. That shows a sea change in an attitude change, which leads to the cup being full and overflowing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I want to change course just a little bit. You'd mentioned the rapid transit stuff as in previous conversations about a key piece of what's going on with creating this ecosystem downtown. Now, as you are, I'm sure, very aware, there's been a lot of criticism lately of this plan to do this rapid transit, the portion of it up Central Avenue. It's drawn a lot of criticism, and you don't necessarily need to answer that. But what is it? Why? Well, if you want to, but I'm curious why. You know, can you explain to people why this part of the plan is so important?
We just clicked over 50% of people in the world live in cities. And it's going to be 70% by 2040. Okay. And so we've got to prepare now for that onslaught. Second, we are trying to attract 2 groups of people here to be job creators. The 28 to 32-year-olds just before they put down roots and families, and who are people who are just excited with new ideas and training them how to be entrepreneurs, and the 50-plus crowd that wants to do a quality of life second career change, bringing to New Mexico and bringing to downtown and to this area and to the Innovation Central District their expertise, their resources, their knowledge. And those 2 groups of people both want a downtown that is walkable, livable. They want diversity, and they want a clean transportation system. They don't want the 4-bedroom house in the suburbs anymore. They want to live downtown in a loft. They want to be where the action is. And the way to create that density is to create this bus rapid transit system. Right. And I would remind you that if we were going to do a subway, it would be 2,000 times the cost. If we're going to do light rail, it would be 200 times the cost. Yeah. We need to steal shamelessly from what's working around the rest of the country and adapt to our culture and our resources. Right. And our resources scream a bus rapid transit system. Yeah. Remember, this will be doors open, people get off, people get on, doors closed. Think about the last time you were in an airport on a shuttle. It's going to be pre-ticketing, so you won't have to, the bus won't be standing there while someone fumbles for change. Right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. It will have signal right of way, so the light will be green when it goes through, and its own dedicated lanes. So it's going to be zipping people back and forth. It's going to be clean. It's going to be great for the sector. And in Cleveland, which is the poster child of this, a 5-mile stretch has created $5 billion in what's called TOD, transit-oriented development, just along that line.
Right.
Because businesses want to be there. And we're already seeing in anticipation of this development along Route 66. This is going to be the biggest boon to Albuquerque that we've seen. And it really helps with our downtown. I mean, that's why we were able to get Molina downtown, Lavoo downtown. When we get that density of people downtown 24/7, especially with all the live units we're putting in,
right,
then that's when downtown becomes alive and vibrant and a great place to be. You can see what we're doing on Civic Plaza, making it colorful,
right,
and all the events. All that works together, and that bus rapid transit system is a key integral part of it, and it's what's going to make us put us back on the map, because I tell you, you cannot find a thriving city in America without a thriving downtown.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is going to help the Epicenter immensely.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, we're right on the line. Innovate ABQ, that entire movement, I think will be helped by that, bringing more people into the area, exposing the community to the benefits of rapid transit, so that they can get in and out more easily and really take advantage of all of the assets that we have along the corridor is going to be just great for everyone involved, not just the Epicenter or those who come for that. But yeah, we're really excited about that being a big part of it, and we think that that's going to help, you know, the accessibility to the site and to the activity.
Right, right. Well, again, switching gears, Gary, I was reading a recent interview you did with the Journal, and you had said this was the year to pivot and swarm.
Yes.
That's a new one on me. You come up with something new every time I talk to you, but what's that one mean? Where are we in this process?
Pivot and swarm is what entrepreneurs do, okay? The big deal for entrepreneurs is you come out with a minimum viable product, and the principle here is to design with your customer, not for them or at them. That's what happened with the Edsel, right? A bunch of smart engineers get together and they put out something that nobody wants. What the main thing entrepreneurs do is they say, what's the minimum viable product? You know, Tony, what's this thing that I can invent? Okay, what do you think of this? Get your feedback along the way. And then you pivot away from the things that aren't working and swarm towards the things that are. Now, what you read about, though, is actually year 3. We're in year 2. There's 121 weeks left of this administration.
Okay.
Not that I'm counting.
Not that you're counting.
I have a sense of urgency around that. But the first year was Build the Buzz, which we've done, I think, quite successfully. The second year is to connect the community into that and show them how they can contribute, which I think is going extremely well. The third year is pivot and swarm. Pivot away from things that aren't working. We're not going to start things and just keep them going because they're, you know, our idea or anything. If it's not working, let's scrap it because we have precious few resources to put on these things. And let's swarm towards the things that are and put more resources there. That's what government should be doing all the time, and it's what organizations need to do all the time. And then it's pivot and swarm and execute. And then the last year is finish strong, and really put the finishing touches on things so that it continues in the community when we turn out the lights on December 3rd, 2017.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, you're basically here till the end of Mayor Berry's term, and as you said, when that's done, the lights are out. In terms of your involvement, maybe, I'm sure you'll probably have started another company by then, but are you feeling any pressure at this point about what you've got, the 121 weeks you have left here in terms of getting all this accomplished?
It's not pressure, it's a sense of urgency, because we know what we're doing is having a positive impact on the community. When the mayor said, we want to make this the most entrepreneurial community in the country, that's a big, hairy, audacious goal, right? But, you know, with the things that he's doing, the support we're getting, the national attention we're getting, White House Tech Hire, the White House Startup in a Day initiatives, all the things that we're seeing and the relationship with Austin that we're cementing, all the things that Mayor has been putting in place are going to come to a fruition over the next 2.5 years. Right. And there is a sense of urgency to make sure that we get as much done as possible before this mayor, who has chosen to self-term limit, because he believes that's the right thing to do, is going to, that this administration goes away. Yeah. And we want that flywheel turning so fast that, you know, it will just continue on.
Right, right. Well, where, you mentioned some aspects of the timeline, but what do you expect to see? What are the milestones in the next year that you expect to see happen for Innovate?
You'll see the Innovate Albuquerque site start to come alive. As you said, the developers have been chosen. They're in their 90-day process. Well, they've been down selected to one. There'll be a final proposal, and assuming that goes well, We'll be seeing groundbreaking next year on phase 1 and potentially phase 2. You'll see a lot of activity there in that area. You'll continue to see improvements in downtown through the mayor's initiatives on Civic Plaza and bringing more companies and restaurants and coffee shops and dry cleaners downtown. We have that great grocery store going in at 3rd and Gold. It also has 74 additional live units, 70% of which are going to be affordable housing. I mean, to get more people downtown. You'll start to see downtown come alive. You'll start to see our innovation districts start producing results with respect to new company formation and even existing companies being able to grow better and to serve their customers better. You'll see people having more of an entrepreneurial mindset, people being more turned on and engaged in the community. Those milestones are the keys. That's what's really going to move us forward.
Okay. We've got just a couple minutes left, but I want to ask you, you've got some events coming up at the Epicenter. Tell me about those real quick.
Yes, we have some really exciting ones. The one that I think was the most exciting event of our entrepreneurial ecosystem last year was ABQ ID Demo Day. And that's coming up again. Okay. It'll be on the 28th of this month.
August
at the
28th
Epicenter.
For those watching. Yeah.
August 28th.
In case we're watching this in September, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So really looking forward to that.
Okay.
That's a big one. Like we mentioned earlier, the Village Capital event will be coming back around, and we'll wrap that up in November. We have a lot of different events coming in between. One of our anchor tenants is the Entrepreneurs, women mentors helping other women entrepreneurs be successful. They have events on the website that Gary mentioned earlier, abqic.com, on a regular basis.
Right.
And the governor will be there Monday.
And we have a big press conference coming up on Monday. One of the things we didn't talk about a whole lot was the overall inclusiveness of this movement. And one of the things is in that regard is really making strong connections, drawing our scientists and engineers out of the national labs, and creating the right structure from a tax standpoint and environment standpoint to allow that to occur. So press conference this Monday, which is August the 17th at 2 to 4 with the governor and the Air Force Research Lab to discuss some changes in tax regulation, the removal of gross receipts tax on phase 1 or tier 1 contractors doing business with the lab, which puts us in New Mexico on even playing field with everybody else doing business with them because it removes that 7% tax on phase 1 contracts. So that'll be coming up very soon.
Great. Well, we're out of time, unfortunately. I know we could talk another half hour about this. We will make a point of catching up with you in another 2 or 3 months because I'm sure there'll be all kinds of new stuff happening at this point. But I want to thank my guests, Gary Oppedahl and Todd Bisio, for being with us today. And thank you for joining us on this episode of ABQ Business Review, and we'll see you next time.